Hello friends! In this video we'll talk about another type of woman who is completely unsuitable for building a healthy relationship. Chances are you've met her at least once. This is the woman who constantly fights for dominance in the relationship. She wants to take the lead position. Let's be clear right away, you cannot change a woman with this trait. Forget that illusion. A man in this situation faces constant conflicts, arguments, tension, resentment, and misunderstandings. He's left with two options. He tries to smooth things over, reconcile, compromise, bend, and lower his own value in the process. Or he refuses to bend, and then the relationship destabilizes because such a woman leaves no other choice. If a man chooses to stay with her, he has to submit. Otherwise, she behaves destructively and ends up tearing the relationship apart. Yes, sometimes conflicts may be patched up an hour later, a day later, maybe even a week later, but that's not healthy. That's not the kind of relationship we truly want. In reality, women of this type have no real prospects for a happy personal life. They'll be unhappy. Why? Because instinctively, like any woman, she is drawn to a strong man. She actually needs him. For true love to activate, she must take the weaker position. But instead, she blocks the man from being strong, undermining him at every step, and that's where the core problems lies. If we ask ourselves, where does this trait in women come from? So there are different reasons. Often it goes back to childhood. Maybe she grew up in a family with a matriarchal structure where mom was in charge and dad abandoned the family. Or maybe it was a painful teenage love that left a deep scar. But honestly, the why doesn't matter. What matters is this: you cannot change her. So what kind of man does this type usually choose? Most often the convenient man, the one she can bend. He starts adjusting, compromising, putting in effort, believing that's the only way to keep the relationship on track and finally be happy with her. But friends, that's a huge delusion. Just today, during a consultation, a man asked me about his friends who's in exactly this situation. So his friend's woman is the boss in the relationship. He jumps to her tune, fulfills all her wishes, and yes, they are still together. But let's be real, we've seen this pattern many times, and it always ends the same way. Right now, she may stay with him because he's useful, because he works hard for her, does everything she wants, but believe me, you wouldn't want to be in his shoes. In the end, she will leave him. Why? Because respect, attraction, patience, they all disappear. Her demands keep growing, but her interest in him fades. That's a fall path. It's often said that before a man decides to marry, he should live with a woman for a while to see what she's like in everyday life. And sure, that matters, but there is something just as important, if not more, how she behaves in conflicts. Sometimes you can even test this on purpose, create a small conflict and watch her reaction, because here is the truth. Conflicts will happen in any relationship. Misunderstandings are inevitable, and when that happens, someone has to take on the role of a diplomat. A woman who's truly suitable for a long-term relationship knows how to step back, to compromise, to let things settle. Because not every fight has a clear right or wrong. Sometimes both partners are right in their one way. But then the question is, who yields? The right woman knows when it should be her, but the type of woman we're talking about today, she won't do that. She refuses to step back, no matter what. Now, does this type of woman ever fall in love truly? So rarely, and here is why. The man she meets fall into the same patterns. Either it's a man who starts investing heavily right away, showing strong interest, chasing her, trying to win her over, and what's happened? She bans him instantly. He loses his value in her eyes, becomes just another convenient man. And there are many like him, too many. Which is why she almost never experiences real love. But the second type of man she runs into is the one who's not really interested. He's distant, detached, and she suddenly flips into demo mode, starts chasing him, investing energy, trying to win him over. But of course, her true character will come out. And what happens? The man thinks, so why do I even need this headache? He kicks her out of his life and she comes returning back. She invests again, he pushes her away again. And every time her attachment only grows stronger. So I've seen this firsthand during consultations. Women of this type may truly fall in love only once or twice in their whole lives. And usually with exactly this kind of man who refuses to tolerate their destructive behavior. But when he finally cuts her off for good, she doesn't just move on. Instead, she tries to compensate by draining emotional resources from convenient men, the ones who bend her will, and ends up wrecking their lives. That's why, friends, women of this type must be filtered out early on. And the good news is they're easy to spot. A woman who's truly suitable for a relationship naturally starts adopting your views, sharing your perspective, aligning with you. But this destructive type, she insists on pushing her own opinion, her own truth right from the start. And that's your signal. Delete her from your contacts, block her, forget her instantly. Sometimes, of course, men try to get back with this type of woman. Some even marry them. And honestly, you can only feel sorry for those guys. Because what's waiting for them is nothing but disappointment, stress, and wasted nerves. Restoring a relationship here makes no sense at all. You cannot change this trait of her personality. That's just who she is. And let me emphasize something important so you truly understand how serious this is. We've not only brought this type of woman back into relationships, we've even made her fall in love, deeply attached, where her level of interest was sky high. And even in that situation, she still insisted on proving her point, still refused to bend, still acted out destructively, even if later she regretted it. So, friends, not even strong love cancels out her behavior. It never does. And usually, the backstory looks the same. We were together 5 years. The first 3 years, yes, we fought, yes, we had misunderstandings, but somehow we worked them out. What the man is describing here is the so-called demo phase, when she was still in love, but even then conflicts were constant. So once she shifts into the stronger position, you can guess what happens. It becomes a battlefield. Now, here is another key point. Imagine you had a fight and it's been a week, maybe 10 days, even 2 weeks. A woman who's truly suitable for a relationship will eventually feel emotional pain, confusion, guilt, and she'll come back to reconcile. That's the logical, healthy outcome. But with this destructive type, she will drag it out, endure it, hold her ground till the bitter end. Yes, you can eventually push her into making peace, but here is the danger. While she's enduring, she looks for ways to numb the inner pain, and often that means turning to other men for emotional resources. And I'm sure you can imagine how badly that usually ends. So, who are these women in real life? Well, most often they fall into one of two categories. The first type is the spoiled, demanding kind, not exactly sugar babies, but most like consumers. They believe the world owes them, and naturally the man ends up being drained while constantly providing, giving, and giving some more. The second common type is the career-driven woman focused on self-realization. Why? Because she wants to maintain full autonomy, to depend on a man as little as possible. And yes, that's also a red flag when it comes to building a healthy relationship. Now, such women often like to talk about equality. But let's break that down. What does it really mean in practice? In reality, the man still carries all the traditional responsibilities. He supports her financially, helps her, invites her, protects her, carries the bags, hammers the nails, all of that. Meanwhile, she feels she owes nothing in return. That's the idea of equality. But logically, if we are truly talking about equality, then either men should have fewer responsibilities or women should have more. But of course, that's never the case. I'm sure many of you have dated women like this, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. There is one very telling sign that a woman has this kind of personality, and it shows up even when she's in a weaker position. So, if a man hears phrases like, "You don't pay attention to me," or "You don't love me," we need to look at the context. There are two scenarios here. Scenario one, she says it during a breakup when she's already in a strong position. In this case, it's just an excuse, a way to pull all the blame on the man and free herself of responsibility. That's not what we are focusing on here. But scenario two, she says it while in a weaker position. Yet she's still trying to attack, to guilt trip, to pressure the man. That's exactly the type of woman we are talking about. So why? Because a woman who is truly fit for a relationship, when she's in a weaker spot, she doesn't go on offensive. Instead, she'll try to win the man back. She'll cook, take care of the house, do little things to earn his affection again. But with this toxic type, it's the opposite. Even in weakness, she's still trying to dominate. Now, what happens if a man actually gets involved with a woman like this, or worse, marries her? The relationship becomes completely codependent. Forget about harmony, it won't exist here. The man develops an attachment and starts to mutate. So, what do I mean by that? Despite all the conflicts, the fights, the endless reconciliation, he starts to enjoy it. He becomes hooked on the chaos. This creates a neurotic relationship pattern where the cycle of conflicts and reconciliation turns into an addiction. But here is the hot truth. Relationships like this are always doomed. And once they end, the man usually never falls in love the same way again. Nothing excites him, everything feels bland, and that's a very heavy consequence to deal with. You have to be ready for attacks on all fronts. She'll hit you with jealousy, anger, guilt trips, silent treatment, or even fake breakups just to test you. And if you give this type of woman even the slightest reason to think she can eat you alive, if you show fear or weakness just once, that's the end. So here is the main takeaway of this video. Even if you manage to hold a strong position in this kind of relationship, sooner or later you'll face a choice. Either the relationship falls apart completely, or you bend and submit. And honestly, the better option is to avoid women like this altogether. See you next time.